welcome to today's video. It is finally spring here where I am down in South Africa, and I have some bright nails to celebrate, and I thought I'd do some bright spring makeup today as well. I'm going to start by using my primer, and I'm going to apply it all over my face. And if you have watched any of my recent tutorials, you already know what primer I'm using, because I literally start every video by mentioning what primer it is, and then like halfway through the video I stop mentioning what I'm using. But today I'm going to break that trend and actually tell you what I'm using. Next, I'm going to go in with this LA Girl Pro Conceal Concealer in the color Natural because it's the closest to my skin tone. And I'm going to use it to go over any spots I have, which I have a lot of because I have been breaking out recently. And I'm going to apply it underneath my eyes. I'm going to go there first because I can apply it directly there with the brush. Even though I am guilty of doing it myself, you shouldn't be applying your concealer over spots like directly with a brush, because then all the microbes you have there that is causing said spot and go into the brush, and the next thing you put on your face you just spread it more, and it's like, it's gross. It's not a good thing to do in this microbial climate. So instead I'm going to squeeze a bit out on the back of my hand just like that, and then I'm going to pick it up with my finger and I'm going to touch it onto any spots. I'm not going to blend it out quite yet, I'm just touching it on. And I'm going from roughly smallest to biggest. Also going to put some on my nose, just because I have some left on my hand. And now we're gonna wait for a minute or two so that it can thicken up a little bit. I'm also gonna apply a little bit of this lighter concealer underneath my eyes, just because I like it being a little bit brighter. So I'm putting it right in there. And then the idea behind letting the concealer dry a bit before you blend it out is because the drier it is, the harder it is to move the pigment, which sounds like a bad thing, and it is if you let it dry entirely. But if you just let it dry a little bit, it makes it harder for you to blend the pigment away from what you're trying to cover, which means it's going to be more coverage. So now I'm going to go in with my finger over all the spots and blend it out. Once I'm off of the spot itself, I'm going to blend it pretty far out so it actually melts into my skin and I don't have these patches of color. Because as you can guess by the fact that we're already going in with concealer, we're not going to do the cream foundation thing today. Because it's spring, we want to be a little bit lighter. And it is hot today, I'm not going to lie. I'm sitting here in a sweater and I'm high-key regretting it. Now I'm gonna go in with my damp beauty blender and just make sure those edges and everything is smooth and that it blends out well. And then I can go in underneath my eyes as well with this. And what I do is I go in a zigzag. So I start my inner corner, I go down and up and down and up, and then I go out. And that just helps the lighter color of the concealer mix into the darker color of the concealer. So a little bit of a zigzag like that, back and forth. Same concept as if you're doing nail art, you kind of go back and forth over where you want it to blend. And then after I've done that, I try and get it into all the little corners and blending it out as far as I can. I take it up onto my eyelids as well, carry it out here onto my cheekbone, and then up over my nose. Now today I do have some concealer on my nose, so I need to spread that out. And don't forget here underneath your nose. Like it happens often that I just blend up the side and then here it remains like pink. So make sure you get into that corner there and under your nose. When I'm going on my eyelid, I do a rolling motion. I kind of press and then I roll the beauty blender off. That kind of helps to pull your lids straight so that you don't have any creases when you're blending out there. Next, I'm going to go in with my powder foundation. This one is from the Body Shop in the color Kyoto Blossom. And I'm also using this kabuki brush from the Body Shop to just buff it on all over my face. So I'm going to pick it up like this. You can see I've definitely been enjoying this recently because I've definitely hit pan on it. And then I'm going to rub it all over my face. I'm going to start on my cheek, avoiding my under eyes for now, just so I can build up the coverage here, and then I'll go in and set underneath my eyes. Applying powder foundation definitely does change the color underneath your eyes a little bit, so if you want it to be very bright, I'd suggest you use just like a setting powder instead, but I'm going to go in with my foundation powder to make sure everything blends nicely and the color is all the same, and then I'll just brighten it up with a brightening powder if I'm so inclined. Another way you can use your powder foundation is to use it as a setting powder when you're doing your full face routine with your liquid foundation, because then you add an extra layer of coverage. And it helps you to blend everything together in case your colors weren't blending perfectly. I'm going to use my Shade and Light palette and this color right here, really just the smallest bit because there's a little bit of color coming through right here. I'm going to cover that to make sure you don't see it. You could also color correct before applying the concealer, which is something I'm interested in trying. I just cannot find a drugstore cruelty-free color correcting wheel. I know Wet n Wild has one, which is the one I saw and that made me really want to try doing color correcting, but I'm not so sure if Wet n Wild is cruelty free unfortunately, so I'm rather gonna play it safe. Anyways, to contour, I'm picking up the two lighter shades from my Shade and Light palette. I'm using a slanted brush and I'm just working it into the hollows of my cheeks. This is really just to warm up my face a little bit, but I don't want to bronze if I'm not going to go in and contour again afterwards, because then I feel I don't really have the dimension I'm going for, so I'm using my bronzing shades and I'm just contouring with them. I am, however, going to pick up some of this middle shade with my bronzing brush and I'm going to apply it on my neck so that my neck matches my face. Usually I don't mind too much because I'm just sitting at home with my makeup on, because let's be honest, I live on a farm in the middle of nowhere. Where am I gonna go with this whole face of makeup? So I'm kind of the only one that would know if I'm not matching, and it's fine. But I want to do another video after this one where I tell you guys all about my hair extensions. And I want to look like I know what I'm talking about, so my face needs to match my neck. I'm using this dense little brush and again that middle shade. I'm going to contour on my lip a little bit. Right here underneath. I don't really feel the need to contour on top of my lip because it's harder to blend out and really doesn't do that much for me in any way. So just a little bit underneath, and then my nose right beneath the tip, and make sure to blend that part out, and then up on the sides, really just a small amount. I'm picking up a bit of that brightening powder again and just bringing it up next to my nose contour, and I keep looking at my mirror over there so that I can see if everything looks good from a distance, because as nice as it looks in a mirror, I want it to work from a distance as well. Next up for some blush, I want to use this Essence Matte Touch blush, the one that I've shadowed ages ago and refused to throw away. So I'm going to carefully open it and tap my brush in there. It still works fine, I promise. I know you can like fix it by mixing with alcohol and stuff like that and letting it set again, but I'm so worried that it changes the properties of it and then it just doesn't work the same way anymore, and then I feel like I need to throw it away. So I'm not taking that risk. And I also haven't seen any other blushes that I really want to try. So there's nothing really out there for me to replace it with, so we deal with what we got. Get nice and peachy today. We get to be bright, it's springtime. On to highlighter, you probably already guessed it. I'm gonna pick up this rose gold one I always use, but this time with a touch of this pink one. Gonna work it onto my cupid's bow. A little up under my nose, on the bridge of my nose, and again on the tip. Underneath my eyebrows, bringing it in all the way because we want to be shimmery today. There we go. And I'm going to work it onto my cheekbones with my brush. Now I'm just gonna go over all of it with the finger to blend it all in, to make it melt into my skin and to make it look like I'm glowing from within. I'm quickly going to do my eyebrows, so I actually filled them in with pomade today and I don't hate it. And I think that's pretty exciting. But anyways, I'm gonna go in with my setting spray next. No, wait, today we're remembering to tell you what I'm using. I used this Essence Matte Touch blush in the color Peach Me Up when I applied my blush. And for my eyebrows, I used this Julienne Brow Pomade. And now that I'm finally done with all the powders on my face, I'm gonna go in with this Essence Keep It Perfect Makeup Fixing Spray. I'm gonna spray it on my face. Now my face does feel extra dry today because of all the powders I have on, so I'm gonna go in with a second coat of this just to make sure everything's nice and hydrated. Now that feels a lot better. So next I'm actually moving on to lips because I already know what lip I want to do. And I don't want to make the mistake of doing the eyeshadow first and then having to change the lip to match it. So I'm gonna go in with this NYX lip liner in the color Nude Pink. And I'm going to both line and color in my lips with this. Correction, overline and color in my lips with this. Now if you do want to know a little bit more about how I overline my lips, I did do a full video on how I figured it out, which I'll have linked up here for you guys, which I'm so excited to say because I finally figured out how to do that. But anyways, I'm now going to go in with this white eyeliner. This is the Essence Kajal pencil in the color White, I should have guessed. And I'm going to apply it in the center of my lips to give it a highlight and a nice little fade from a light pink to a darker pink. Now that is definitely a lot more pout than I'm used to having, but to kick it up a notch, I'm going to use this Essence Shine 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 Wet Look Clear Lip Gloss. It actually has a color name, it's called A1 Behind the Scenes. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch a little bit onto my lips and then to spread it out. I don't want it to look too wet, and that's why I only apply a little bit instead of like swiping it on like lipstick. Now onto eyeshadow, I'm just going to grab this palette that is in front of me, and I think I'm going to go in with this mauve-ish shade right here because it has a little bit of pink in it. I'm just gonna work it into my crease. I'm also gonna drag it out a little bit because your girl is gonna do a wing, and I'm gonna take it onto my lower lash line, all just with a fluffy blending brush. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna spray a little bit of setting spray on my palette. Then I'm gonna pick a little bit up with two of my fingers. I'm gonna apply it on my lids. So the color I'm gonna apply is gonna stick to them. I'm just making sure I'm getting it a little bit wet. Now I'm going to go in with this Foil Eyes 28 color eyeshadow palette from BH Cosmetics. And I'm going to use this ABH brush because the only clean one I have. And I'm going to pick up this lovely mint turquoise-ish light blue color here. Really get it onto that brush. And I'm going to pack it onto my lid just like that. Drag it out a little bit into that V shape. And then do the same on the other side. Gonna buff a little bit of this into the crease to make sure it does blend well. I'm not quite happy with the color, so I'm going to apply a little bit of the white shimmer shade in this palette on top of it to try and lighten it up a bit. Now I'm going to pick up this BH Cosmetics 88 matte colored eyeshadow palette. Gonna pick up this dark blue that they have in here, and I'm going to use it to define this edge a little bit. I'm going to go in with a thin brush so I can really apply the color where I want it. But I'm going to outline the shape that I just made with this. I also wrapped the color onto my lower lash line, but it's not quite dark enough for me, so I'm picking up my Urban Decay Born to Run palette. I'm picking up the color Radio, which is also a dark blue, and I'm just going to go over what I just did. Now for this I really want a blended out lower lash line, so I'm going to blend out what is there first, but then I'm going to go put those two dark blue colors there again to really fade it out. I'm also going in with the colors that I blended into my crease to help this blend out as well. It looks a little crazy now, but we need to trust the process. Actually stressed about this not working out how I envisioned it, but gonna go in with that white eyeliner and actually use it in my waterline to really brighten it up in there. And now it's time for some eyeliner. I'm using this Essence Liquid Ink eyeliner, and I'm gonna have my liner done in 3, 2, 1. And that is how the liner turned out. Now all I have to do is lashes. So I'm gonna apply a little bit to my top lashes so they blend into the false lashes, and then a lot on my lower lash line because I want it to pop over all that color. Usually I don't want a lot on my lower lashes because I don't want to be bottom heavy, but with everything going on at the top today, I don't think bottom heavy is a thing that's gonna happen. So I can just go for it. Looking at it, there's just something I'm not feeling and I don't know what it is, so I'm going to try and go in and maybe buff out that edge a little bit. See if blending that out will be what I feel is missing. Yeah, that blue line needed to be blended. I think it looks a lot better now. I'm actually going to go in with my finger in a little bit more of a white shade and apply it right here on this ball here to give it a little bit more of a shimmer so it like catches your eye and stuff like that. But then this is the final result. We went light on the skin and then we went heavy on the glam. I feel like slight 80s vibes, but I think that's just kind of the color scheme of this. But like I said, this is the final result. I hope you enjoyed watching this video as much as I enjoyed making it. And I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye! I don't know if I like it. Well, I don't know. It's actually pretty good. Or cute.